So often it's a sense of dissatisfaction that leads us to this so-called non-duality. The sense that something's missing, something's not quite complete. And this sense that something's not quite complete searches endlessly for this idea or imagination of what it is to have this completion. And of course, on the spiritual path, we pick up lots of different ideas about what that means or what that might look like. And in reality, it's got nothing to do with those ideas. In fact, it's about seeing through ideas endlessly, seeing that every idea is meaningless. This word non-duality, I'm talking about this word non-duality because I hear that you're a non-dual meetup group. So I'm curious as to what that means for you. And maybe in a little while we'll get into what it is for you. But just to talk a little bit about non-duality. That word, for me, it doesn't resonate at all. I hate that word, actually. But you've got to call it something. You've got to call your meetup group something. And the word satsang seems to carry a lot of other connotations, other meanings, a certain traditional meaning. Even though generally it means the same thing, meeting in truth, meeting in non-duality, what is beyond separation. But of course the problem with that is that we can never really meet in that. Because we can never meet when we are not separate. How can we meet? We can only meet if we're separate meeting. So then this word non-duality gets used as a kind of a hobby or an interest or a philosophy or a belief system. And the essence of it is really nothing to do with any belief system. It's about inquiring into the nature of life, exploring who you really are, recognizing that you are not what you think you are, knowing your nature to be non-dual, beyond separation, beyond duality. And yet, the thinking wants to land in that, and wants to make a position out of that. And say, well, I'm not dual, I'm non-dual. But it's a joke, really, because, of course, duality is included. Otherwise, how can we speak about non-duality? How can we do anything if we're not playing at being dual, at being separate? The only way I can sit here talking to you is if this play of separation is here. I am appearing to be separate from you. The sound of my voice is playing in this room that seems to be separate from outside of there. You know, the whole game of separation plays. And actually non-duality isn't an experience or something that you can think about or understand in this play of duality. Which is why it's incredibly frustrating, really, to try to know it. Because it's not an it. It's you. You are non-duality. You are non-duality playing at duality. Living as duality. As if there is separation. And it seems that there's this strange game that plays out in this life. A game of forgetting and remembering. The non-dual nature of life, in other words you, seems to forget its own nature. And in this play of duality and separation, there's a playing as if I am really separately located in this body, separate from you, and there's a real believing as if that's all that I am. It's a forgetting that I am actually all that is. I am unlimited. I am beyond all the apparent boundaries that the thinking creates. And then we search, we have a sense of something not quite being it. We search for something beyond it, beyond this play of duality, only to recognize at some point, oh, my nature is what I'm searching for. I am already what I'm searching for. I was never not that. And then the game of duality and separation goes on, but you get the joke of it. You get the joke that actually it's just a playing as if there is duality. It's not like suddenly you become one with everything once you recognize this. It's actually that you recognize that you have always been that. You can't not be that because it's you. It's just that the ideas that you had about life, about yourself, about how it is, you seem to be not true. They seem to be just assumptions made in the thinking. So I find it really interesting to look at the nature of the thinking, because that's what seems to create the belief that I am limited to separation, limited to boundaries. For example, the thinking says, I am located inside this body. I am limited and located here. This is me here, and this is you out there. The thinking creates the separation of in here and out there. And while that's believed in, it seems to be the experience. With that belief can be a painful a sense of contraction, felt physically. And with that, of course, a longing to be free of that. And then the search goes on. So it's really about exploring the nature of the thinking, the nature of thought. The assumptions that we make, questioning everything that we've believed in. Who am I really? What am I really? Where am I really? Am I located anywhere? Do I really know anything if I don't just assume that my thinking is right? If I don't assume that I know, that I think I know about anything, then what? Then who am I right now? And you can check in your own direct experience with this if you investigate for yourself. You can ask yourself these questions and see if there's any answers when you don't buy into the thinking. Because the thinking will have many answers, endless answers. But just for a moment, in the moment of no thought, what do you actually know right now? I mean, this experience of sitting here is experience. The sensation that you feel right now, the sound of my voice or trees or birds or whatever. If there's a thought, then a thought pops up. If there's an emotion, then that emotion is here. But do you know what any of it means? Is there anything fixed in it? Anything that you can really hold on to and say, this is me? Or this is true? I mean, the reality is that you are lost, boundless. Even the ground that you think that you've got your feet on, without believing in thought. What ground? Lost in emptiness, in nothingness. Then of course the thinking comes in, providing useful information about living in this world as a person. And that useful information helps this body, helps this animal, this human animal, to survive in this daily life. Provides practical information about how to interact, how to function, how to work. It remembers people's names. Remembers really the most basic information that it can offer, like, this is a chair, you can sit on it. Okay, that's really helpful. Seeing the nature of the thinking, you can see that practical information, practical thoughts are very useful, but the thinking it can start to take itself to be really important. It thinks it knows. It's sure it knows. It's afraid not to know. If I don't know in my thinking, then what? I might be completely lost, be completely alone. It would be far too free. Then what? How would I live? How would I function? Maybe there's fear. Fear to just be, without anything to hold on to. Without any guidelines, without the thinking being like something to hold on to, like a mummy or a daddy to tell you what to do, how to be, how to live. without believing and thinking, then you're just alive. In fact, it's just life happening. A dance of energy playing out, playing as this person, only playing. And as this person, there are certain limits in this life. You can't walk through walls. Apparently this body doesn't fly. There are certain limits. And knowing the nature of this body, knowing the nature of the thinking, the nature of experience, we don't expect it to be any different. It is as it is. But it's a play as it is. No. And knowing that it's a play makes all the difference. It's not like the experience needs to really change. The experience could remain the same. But knowing that it is a play as if it is all happening to me, there's a certain lightness in it all. You don't take yourself so seriously. There's no need to try to become something more. There's no need to endlessly try to fix myself, or improve myself. If there is discomfort, or fear, or pain, there's knowing that there's no escape from it. This is what's here. And also knowing that it doesn't mean anything about who I am. And this knowing is freedom. Freedom beyond an experience of freedom. Freedom that doesn't come and go. Freedom that doesn't depend on anything.